Thank you, Janine, and thank you for joining us. Today we want to show you how high-precision AI can support experts' decision, where quality, compliance, and speed all matters at once. I'm Lukas Deibel, I'm IT project manager at Sartorius, and I'm joined by my colleague.
Yeah, I'm Mario Groß, and I'm a solution architect at Sartorius. I'm giving over to you.
And I am Jakub Zavrel from Zeta Alpha, and we're really excited to share some of our learnings of this collaboration with Sartorius with you. And in particular, we hear here on the conference that a lot of people are struggling in terms of AI with the buy or build decision. So I hope we can share some useful learnings from our journey.
Okay. So at Sartorius, we have the ambition to better health for more people, and we can do this by providing tools and products to our customers, for instance, to speed up the discovery of molecules or make the cell line and process development more efficient. And here at the end, the goal is to make therapies better or develop new therapies and make medicine more affordable. And besides the products that we offer, we also offer services. And here I want to zoom in. So one example where precision AI can really support is our confidence validation services team. They provide expertise since 30 years to our customers, for instance in the biopharmaceutical manufacturing, to prove that their process is compliant, is stable and consistent. And with the expertise that is accumulated over 8,000 projects, we see that all this knowledge is fragmented in documents, in different formats, in different tools. So we were looking for a solution, how we can provide them with an assistant that can support them taking the right decisions. And to be clear here, one wrong detail can cause delay, can cause rework, and even compliance risk. So this is how it looks now, and I will quickly guide you through. So we have a UI, you can enter a question like, are all Sartor 2 filters, including the O-ring, chemically compatible with lactic acid? And then the system in the background, a multi-agent system, will find the right source, will check your access, and then provide you with an answer. And as these experts need to trust the system, it's really important that you also get the source where this information was retrieved. And as we can see here, the information is not textual, but is in a graph. So we also need to read those kind of information and need to chat to follow up questions. And how we got there and what's important, Jakub will explain.
All right, so at Zeta Alpha, we are building the AI foundation layer for knowledge, especially in technically complex, R&D-intensive companies. We're an Amsterdam-based AI-centric company, and we see that the essence of deploying these kind of systems is to be able to deploy them on private knowledge securely, so inside the private cloud infrastructure, and to a high degree to customize them to use cases like those of Sartorius. We have been in business for 7 years and are deployed at a number of very large companies in the chemical and the manufacturing space. So what we see in these industries is that sort of the common generic AI tools, just language models or chatbots, that almost everybody has implemented by now, are not sufficient to gain the trust of actual research scientists and engineers. And that has two main reasons. First of all, the actual important knowledge is scattered among many different information silos, among many different systems. lab notebooks, SharePoints, spreadsheets, and many others. So there's a whole lot of data engineering that must actually be tackled to connect in a secure way all the information sources. There's a lot of customization there. But more importantly, if you give the sort of average ChatGPT answer to a research scientist who's really deep into a particular topic, the answer is so-so. Sometimes it's getting better all the time, of course, but to get really trustable results, you need to ground them in private, confidential information about the technical products, the research itself, and also specialize the AI models by fine-tuning or other ways of customization to that particular knowledge domain. So you see that there's like a high degree of need for customization because essentially completeness of information and accuracy of the answers equals trust. And moreover, we see that it's not just about text. The research labs, but industry more in general, is really multimodal. We're talking here about machines which have three-dimensional shapes. There are pictures, diagrams, chemical compounds with three-dimensional structures, tabular data measurement from the lab, patterns with diagrams, etc. So the core technology underlying this is retrieval augmented generation, basically connecting a state-of-the-art LLM to your own data. Well, 2 years ago, everybody thought this was really simple. You just vectorize your documents and then plug the vector search engine into the LLM's context, and you have your RAG system. Reality is more complex. The retrieval accuracy is crucial. That's the part where you have the most influence to adapt to your domain. What we see in practice is that these models have been replaced. Large language models become VLMs, so vision language model, to take care of the multimodal aspects, to be able to understand pictures and graphs, etc. And there's a variety of AI search tools, classical keyword search, vector search, re-rankers, fine-tuned hybrid search, etc., all with the goal to maximize the retrieval accuracy in the context for the AI model. And we see that evolving towards agentic systems. So really it's not a RAG system anymore, but it's an orchestrator which makes a plan through reasoning and then uses a variety of tools, some of which may be search, some of which may be, for example, memory to store intermediate results, or even external tools, internal APIs from the company, or for chemistry, for example, computational chemistry tools, or other internal tools. And now in 2026, we're really seeing this evolve to these harnesses, which offer all these tools and all these capabilities, and really allow you to build multi-agent system, where the orchestrator is dispatching subtasks and asynchronous tasks in the background to many different AI agents that plan, use tools, store, evaluate, and then finally synthesize the final task outcome, which may be quite a complex task. So we have implemented that in the Zeta Alpha discovery platform, which is an end-to-end framework ranging from connecting to data sources all the way to interacting with users through chat or search or AI agent APIs. So why not build this in-house, right? There are many open source tools, and if you kind of take a caricature, RAG is just 5 lines of code. And I think in the last years, we have seen that many companies, because this was quite strategic, have developed their own internal versions of these systems based on open source or Microsoft stacks, etc. But if you get started, it's easy to get started, especially with vibe coding these days. But then how do you sync with the data sources? How do you deal with different file formats, access rights, metadata, build AI agents on top of that? So there's a race towards becoming actually an internal software company inside your own organization with one customer. And that's the journey also that Sartorius took, and then we started working together.
Yeah, thank you. Now that you got a good overview what Zeta Alpha is, I want to explain a bit how we integrated it at our company in Sartorius. And you can imagine with the validation services use case, it's really having high demands for accurate answers, and this was the first thing we need to get right, also to build trust with the users in the end. So we involved directly domain experts from the business and created a ground truth data set from question and answer pairs to have like this as a benchmark when we build the platform and change things this is really helpful. And to automate this, we also used LLM judges, so we can run this evaluation at every time automatically based on this ground truth data set. And this leads then to this context engineering based on error analysis. So if we see there's something not right, we're getting a wrong answer or the wrong documents are retrieved, we can look at the prompts, of course, at the models used. We can see how the ingestion pipeline of the document or data works and change it. And this is really a very fast process. And also in the past, mostly you use text-based LLMs for RAG. And here we have the option to really also use multimodal processing. So using visual models to understand table designs, to understand PowerPoint presentation, images, graphs from scientific papers, and all combines this in an agent system where we then can use the right model at the right time. And we had, with this use case, a really fast iteration from start to finish. So in like 6 weeks, we set the whole Zeta Alpha platform in our own infrastructure at Sartorius up and had the first users working on it. So this is really, really great. And yeah, what is actually the solution for these kind of things? I think the most important part is you have to build a trusted AI environment. So the users really need to trust the answers. And for this, first of all, you need full control over what data goes in and also govern this, because it's everywhere with AI. When you have bad data, you get also bad results. So you need to also give the responsibility to data owners, to document creators, that they take care of it and also decide what document goes in and what document maybe should go out because it's outdated, for example. And also, in the past, we had a lot of different knowledge bases or databases where we have this data. All of these things have authorizations and permissions, and you need to be sure to also get these permissions into our new Zeta Alpha platform. And here also Zeta Alpha provides some automated things where we can just synchronize these things and not have to manually set up everything all the time. And for the end user, the most important part is they need to have traceable answers. So when they have a question, get an answer, they need to see the references, which documents were used. Can I jump to the document to the right position? Can I really validate it for myself? And this also builds trust in the end. So like strong data, governance, and presidency control is super important. And yeah, how does Zeta Alpha help us? First of all, it's a scalable platform. So we can not only integrate this use case, we have X other use cases in the pipelines we are working on, and don't need to build like these separate systems for everyone, so we can also reuse the knowledge base we are building. And the most important part for us was also owning these retrieval and ingestion logics, how the data goes in, how it gets passed. We want to see and also interact with it. A lot of big players have like these standard solutions and you can't really change it. It works or it works not. And here we have really a lot of customization options. And this also really provided us a 30+% accuracy improvement against like a standard rec system. And yeah, I think the business value overall, to make it short, of course, people get super fast access to our internal and also external knowledge. And this really helps the people getting better because they don't need to search and find the right data and documents in X systems. they have time now to think about the solution. They get answers for facts, and then really think with the customers, hey, what can we do to improve this, or where can we help you, and not just having these tasks of searching through X systems or SharePoints or other databases. So, and yeah, maybe now we go to what lessons we actually learned in this project.
Well, so I think we learned a lot. Governance, precision, evidence, having experts in the loop, in the building process, in the evaluation process, and in the adoption process, and an operating platform that scales to many different use cases. But coming back kind of to the title of our talk, high stakes, high precision. So obviously no AI system is perfect, right? It's always a tool for humans to find the information. But I'm curious to hear from you, like you had developed a system before yourself. How does, let's say, how do you see the main contributions to how you achieve higher precision? And how does it also impact your users? What kind of feedback do you get from users in Sartorius?
Yeah, like you said, we had first our own in-house development. Took a lot of effort. You build everything from the ground up. Then using different knowledge bases for different user groups, and like you said, we didn't have connectors to everything. We had to develop it all ourselves. This takes a lot of development resources, and with Zeta Alpha, the difference is really we have all this, what we need in a scalable platform, which we can also easily then use for other use cases and not only for this specific project, and have these customization options. We can also change the front end completely. We can change the back end logic, how everything works, which models we use, which agent systems we use, and this really fastens everything. So this iteration to implement things is got way, way faster.
Maybe to add it.
Maybe you can comment a little bit on the user side of things, like how are your users experiencing the improved accuracy?
Yeah, right. So for us as a team, it was also important to focus our work on what's important is to understand the user and what they need. Therefore, we need to own how data or documents are retrieved and how the output is generated, because we understand what is required. And focusing on that part and not on building an entire platform saves time and makes it easier to meet those expectations. And so what we see is some users, they need a precision answer, so one value in a big table. And our documents are really similar because we have, let's say, 50 types of filters. They look all the same, the table look the same, they are called the same, and one tiny detail, 3 letters can make a difference. So this precision is required. And other users, they need to compare regulatory documents, so a lot of documentation, and need to interpret different ways, and therefore they need more a synthesis of documents and meaning and opinion. And therefore, those are 2 completely different use cases that we can meet by having the control of the retrieval and the output.
Thanks. And last, we had a very good collaboration, but we are a small company. We're close to 20 people in Amsterdam. You're a huge company, right, compared to us. So how do you see this kind of, there's a saying, giants dance with giants, or elephants dance with elephants. How do you see kind of, in this age of AI, collaboration between large companies and innovative startups?
Yeah, I would say we also work, of course, with the big players, and they also provide similar solutions, but mostly there it's like they are jack of all trades, but master of none. So you don't get a customized solution for your own problems, and it's also sometimes hard to customize these things. And with Zeta Alpha, we got really good experts with a lot of experience. We had really close work collaborations, not just with consultants and whatever, and got really some results really fast. And this is also what I like to work with directly with the developers of other platform instead of like X layers between. This really helps.
Thanks. So you have Fernando, our CTO's number, so you can call him.
And you're part of the development, right?
And we can also take your wishes